The blizzard came fast, whiteout conditions, freezing winds, and stranded truckers with nowhere to go. Most businesses shut their doors. But one small-town diner stayed open, its lights a beacon in the storm. Inside, a black woman worked tirelessly, feeding and sheltering 10 desperate drivers. By morning, the storm had passed, but what showed up next left her in tears. As a brutal blizzard swept across the highway, visibility dropped to near zero and temperatures plummeted. Truckers, stranded and freezing, were forced to pull over with nowhere to go. Most local businesses had already closed, but one small roadside diner remained open thanks to its owner, Angela Rivers. Angela, a black woman known for her home-style meals and warm heart, saw the flashing hazards of the trucks through the swirling snow. Without hesitation, she brewed extra coffee, cooked hot meals, and opened her doors wide. One by one, 10 shivering truckers stepped inside. She gave them food, blankets, and a safe place to wait out the storm. She asked for nothing in return. Word of Angela's kindness began to spread online that night. Photos of the truckers sharing dinner at the diner's counter went viral. But Angela didn't expect what happened next. The following morning, as the storm cleared and blue skies returned, she looked out the window and froze. Lining the road in front of her diner were more than a dozen big rigs, their engines idling. Truckers had driven in from miles away, not to seek shelter, but to say thank you. They brought groceries, supplies, and even helped shovel out the parking lot. In a world often too busy to notice quiet acts of kindness, Angela's gesture lit a fire of gratitude. What started as a rescue became a movement, proof that compassion still travels far, even in a snowstorm. When a sudden blizzard hit the Midwest, highways turned treacherous, and dozens of truckers were forced to pull over. Icy winds howled, visibility was nearly zero, and most towns shut down. But in a small roadside diner just off Route 84, one woman refused to close her doors. Angela Rivers, the owner of Heart and Soul Diner, saw the storm coming and stayed. That night, she welcomed 10 truckers who had nowhere else to go. With a warm smile and hot plates of food, she turned her tiny diner into a lifeline. Blankets, coffee, even spare phone chargers, Angela gave what she had without hesitation. Word of her kindness spread fast. A few truckers shared photos and stories on their social media, praising her generosity. But no one expected what happened the next day. As the snow cleared and the morning sun glistened on the icy road, a rumble grew in the distance. One by one, more trucks arrived. Not because they needed help, but because they wanted to honor Angela. Over 20 rigs parked in a line outside her diner, their drivers stepping out with smiles, supplies, and offers to help. Some shoveled snow, others stocked her pantry. One even paid for everyone's meals that day. It wasn't just gratitude, it was a convoy of unity. Angela's one act of kindness didn't just help truckers in a storm. It brought together a scattered brotherhood on the road and reminded a whole town what community truly means. The storm hit harder than anyone expected. Roads iced over, visibility dropped to near zero, and the wind howled across the highway like a freight train. Dozens of truckers, caught in the chaos, were forced to pull over, stranded with nowhere to go. That's when they saw the light. In the middle of the storm, a small roadside diner, Heart and Soul Diner, remained open. Its owner, Angela Rivers, had stayed behind, determined not to leave anyone out in the cold. She watched the trucks line up outside, their drivers hesitant and weary. She didn't hesitate. Angela waved them in with a smile, fired up the grill, and got to work. 10 truckers found warmth, food, and something they hadn't expected, a sense of home. She served chili, coffee, and comfort, offering blankets and a place to rest. There were no charges, no questions, just kindness. Word spread quickly. One of the truckers posted about the experience on social media, calling Angela a guardian angel in the snow. The post went viral overnight. The next day, as the skies cleared, a convoy rolled in, not for help, but to give back. More trucks, more drivers, more hearts full of gratitude. They brought groceries, supplies, and even helped clean up the lot. Angela didn't just provide shelter, she created a ripple of compassion that stretched far beyond the storm. Her little diner became a symbol of hope, proving that even in the harshest weather, humanity shines brightest. Angela Rivers never thought her quiet diner would make headlines. Nestled just off a remote stretch of highway, Heart and Soul Diner was known only to regulars and the occasional passing traveler. But one night, during a paralyzing blizzard, everything changed. As snow piled high and temperatures plunged, 10 truckers found themselves stranded nearby with no food, no heat, and nowhere to go. With businesses shuttered and roads impassable, their options were few. But Angela kept her lights on. She opened her doors without question. She cooked warm meals, poured coffee, and passed out blankets from the back closet. The truckers were strangers, but to Angela, they were guests in need, and that was enough. They left the next morning, fed and grateful. Angela thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. 24 hours later, she heard it, the low rumble of diesel engines approaching. Then came the sight that stopped her cold. Lining the street in front of her diner were over a dozen big rigs, each one driven by a trucker who had either been there that night or heard the story. They stepped out bearing gifts, groceries, cash donations, even a new coffee maker. One driver presented her with a handmade sign, "Angela's Truck Stop, where kindness lives." Angela was overwhelmed. She'd only done what she thought was right. But to these drivers, she'd done so much more. Their tribute was simple, powerful, and unforgettable. The kind of thanks that doesn't come in words, but in wheels. The blizzard arrived with a fury, icy winds, whiteout conditions, and temperatures that could freeze steel. Along the lonely highway, truckers pulled over, stranded in their rigs with no food, no heat, and no hope of rescue anytime soon. In a small town nearby, Angela Rivers watched the snow fall outside her diner window. She could have gone home. Everyone else had. But something told her to stay. She kept the lights on and the kitchen warm. And one by one, the truckers came. Some were cold to the bone, others shaken from hours of waiting alone. Angela welcomed them in without hesitation. No questions. No payments. Just hot coffee, homemade chile, and a safe place to ride out the storm. Her act of compassion was quiet but powerful. By morning, the storm had passed. The truckers left with full stomachs and full hearts. Angela thought that was the end of it. But it was only the beginning. The next day, a distant rumble grew louder. She looked out and gasped. Lined up outside were dozens of big rigs, stretching down the road like a parade. The drivers stepped out, not to seek refuge, but to return what she had given. They brought food, supplies, thank you notes, even helped clean the diner's lot. One left behind a sign that simply read, "Angela's Heart, Fuel for the Soul." Her kindness sparked a wave of gratitude, turning one warm night into a legacy of love. In the storm, she opened her doors. In return, they opened their hearts. When a historic blizzard tore through the Midwest, truckers along Route 84 were caught off guard. The snow came fast, the roads iced over, and with visibility near zero, dozens of rigs were forced to pull over. Stranded in freezing, many drivers had no access to food, heat, or shelter. That's when Angela Rivers, a black woman and owner of the Heart and Soul Diner, made a life-changing decision. While other businesses closed for safety, she stayed open alone. As the storm raged, she spotted headlights blinking through the snow. One by one, 10 truckers arrived at her door, cold and desperate. Angela welcomed them inside without hesitation. She poured hot coffee, served up hearty meals, and passed out blankets from a back closet. Her diner became a refuge, warm, safe, and filled with compassion. The next morning, the truckers left with grateful hearts. Some posted about Angela online, calling her a hero. The story spread like wildfire. Then came the convoy. The following day, more than a dozen trucks rolled in, not seeking shelter, but offering thanks. The drivers brought groceries, supplies, and even helped restock her pantry. One gave her an envelope of donations, another left a hand-painted sign that read, "In storms and in life, thank God for Angela." Angela's quiet act of service lit up a whole community. Her kindness in the cold sparked something powerful, a convoy of gratitude, rolling in not just with wheels, but with warmth, unity, and respect.